This weekend, the country mourns together as we mark the 21st anniversary of the 9/11 terror attacks. The 9/11 Memorial and Museum here in New York displays the faces, names, and stories of the nearly 3,000 victims. But 2 photos of the fallen were missing. Adriana Diaz has a story of how a museum employee there made it his personal mission to track down one of the missing faces, discovering the life of a man we lost too soon in the tragedy.
Where the towers once stood, there's a constant flow of sorrow. The names of those lost here line the water's edge, while just below ground, inside the 9/11 Memorial and Museum, you can look into their eyes.
I mean, everybody's face has a story behind it. This is Betty Ong, who made the famous call to the ground reporting the hijacking underway.
Jan Seidler Ramirez is the museum's chief curator. She's overseen the massive collection of these images supplied by loved ones who volunteered photos.
It sets up immediately the diversity of the victims, the magnitude. When people are in the gallery, they will go to the wall and they will find faces that intrigue them.
What intrigued Grant Yera, who works in visitor services helping guests, was this missing photo for Albert Ogletree, one of 2 images unaccounted for.
He's a great guy.
He then made a promise to his friend in security.
I pointed at the leaf and I said to Linda, Linda, I'm going to get the photo on the wall.
But little was known about Ogletree, except that he worked in a cafeteria in the North Tower. His wife died after the attacks, and he had no known descendants. Then, on his own time, Yera found an online tribute from a stepdaughter. He tracked her down on Facebook.
She did write back to me. However, she did not have any photos because he did not like having his photo taken.
He was camera shy.
He was.
People associated with Forte Foods, who were food handlers, they didn't have the backing of an employer like the New York City Police Department that had all the different ways people are photographed as part of a community or as part of their employment.
So the trail had run dry, or did it?
So I turned to Ancestry.com and I was able to find an address for him living in Romulus, Michigan. I felt that maybe if I could find where he went to high school, that maybe they would have a photo of him.
This was really a shot in the dark.
Yes, it was.
He emailed the high school in Romulus outside Detroit. They didn't have older yearbooks, but city councilwoman and former teacher Kathy Abdo, who the school called for help, knew where to find them: the local historical museum.
I had an idea of what decade he was in Romulus. So I went over and I went through all of the yearbooks in the 60s. So I had to go through page by page. And that's where I found Albert Ogletree.
The image is pixelated, but the camera-shy Ogletree is finally found. His only known photo, taken around 15 years old.
This is someone that used to go to my high school. And he's not going to be forgotten now.
I'd say I probably jumped a foot.
You jumped a foot in the air?
Yeah, it was a true accomplishment for Albert, for his memory.
To physically hold it and see this sort of tender, sweet young face that, you know, the adult life had not etched yet. The really wonderful moment was when the stepdaughter looked at the portrait and she said, "Oh my gosh, he hasn't changed at all."
We spoke to Albert's stepdaughter, and she said, "He taught me how to ride a bike. He helped teach me how to tie my shoes." She didn't want to appear on camera, but I can only imagine that this is going to provide her with some kind of closure.
Absolutely.
The wide eyes and slight smile of a young Albert Ogletree now appear above his name. The details of his life are still unclear, but his face is in focus.
When Albert's photo went up, I'm like, Linda, it's here.
I was like, wonderful, wonderful.
A promise made to a man from the past he never knew, that he would never be forgotten. For CBS Saturday Morning, Adriana Diaz, New York.
That's taking those words, never be forgotten, and actually putting it into action.
Yeah.
What a great story.
It really was.
It really was. And her reaction, especially when
Yes, and all of
when you got
those
his name up
people
there.
owning a piece of we've got to find it.
A stranger.
A stranger.
A complete stranger.
Right.
Yeah.